the Dr. Jaime Show. I am so excited that you are here today. Happy 2017. I hope you're setting goals. If you want to know how to set goals, you know, you can go to my YouTube channel, view the other big chats, and learn how to set SMART goals, etc. But we're not here to waste time on goals today. Oh, no, 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 no. We have much bigger and better things to do. Ha, ha, ha. You are going to hear all of my sex jokes today. That I have for you, because we have an amazing person here today. We have Dr. Dae Sheridan, a sex therapist, right here in the background, ready to come out and chat with you here in a few minutes. So what have you done? Have you set your goals? Have you put your Christmas stuff away? I have to tell you something about my Christmas stuff. I don't know why I feel the burning urge to tell you this. I don't know if I'm the only one. So every year I put away my Christmas stuff. I scour the house from top to bottom, because you know you're going to miss like one thing, one ornament. This year, no, 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 no. I scour the house in and out. I even looked in rooms I didn't put Christmas stuff in. Make sure I missed no Christmas stuff. I got it all in the boxes. We put it up. And yesterday, what did I find? I found an ornament. I don't know how this happens. There's always one missing piece of Christmas stuff, and then you got to go back up and find the Christmas box. So anyways, I thought I'd vent. I hope someone else goes through that. I do. So anyways, all right, moving on. I have a few things of admin that I want to talk to you about today. You know, we go through admin before we bring on the guest, hold you in suspense for a little bit. But I'm super, super excited about something that we are working on in 2017 that is going to go live February 1st. It is the Dr. Jaime Alliance program. So here's what I've noticed. I've noticed a need for something. And this is, think about this for your own goals. If you're trying to move forward, where do you notice a need? So I have followers, I have friends, I have family, I have clients. And all of them have these awesome, awesome goals, but sometimes they need help achieving them, not just creating them and helping them hurdle barriers like I help them do. But I'm talking about maybe they want to start their own business and they need a web designer. I had another girl who her bucket list was to have a photographer take pictures of her family. She never had that done in her life, so she needed a good photographer. But this happens all the time. Literally every day I have clients. These types of things are coming out. I said, so why don't I have a hub on my website with trusted businesses that you can reach out to and call upon? They have to go through an interview. There's a small nominal fee they have to pay. There is, they have to create a video. I mean, we need to trust these people. But then when you come to me with goals, I can say, hey, go to my website, look for these, this person that you need, and you can reach out to them, and they're trusted. So that's what we're doing. We're doing the Alliance program. So if you think that your business, and this can be anywhere, internationally even, if you think your business would qualify for something like that, go ahead and go to doctor@drjaimek.com. Email me, and then we'll do a full screening to see if you qualify. For those of you that might not have a business, and now you have a hub to help you achieve your goals. And these aren't just creating websites. These can be, I'm listening to myself talking another, but these can be doctors. Maybe you're looking for a therapist, a sex therapist, an MD. So they will all be on the hub now at drjaimek.com starting February 1st. So I'm really excited. That's my goal this year. So feel free to call in or text in on Facebook, message in on Facebook, and let us know your goals. We want to hear them. We want to see them. We want to see what people are doing. All right, so upcoming guests, you ask? Yeah, we got some awesome, awesome people. Well, today, of course, is our prime guest. We have a sex therapist, Dr. Dae Sheridan. She is a licensed psychotherapist. She's a clinical sexologist. She's a certified rehab counselor. What do all these things mean? We're going to bring her on and find out. Next week, we have Angela Ardolino. I am so excited that she's joining. I hope that she is joined. Hi, Angela. If you're looking, we are so excited to have you. She founded Tampa Bay Parenting Magazine and recently launched Canna Pure. This cultivates the purest medical cannabis, and we're going to find out exactly what she is doing with this and how she's helping people. On the 20th, we are going to have Mario and Diane on the show. They wrote a book called Re-Love-and-Ship, and what we're going to learn, and this is a great time at the new year when we are redeveloping relationships or restarting relationships, how not to bring your baggage from one relationship into the next. That's not easy to do, but they're going to give us some tips and tricks on how to do that, and we're going to talk about all things relationships. On the 27th, we are having Steve Fidrich here, and he is going to talk to us about his story in overcoming depression. He was in a tragic accident, and he's going to talk to us about his journey. This is going to be a great segment for two types of people. People that are experiencing depressive symptoms right now and want to know, like, hey, how can I, work through this? It's also going to be great for people that don't understand how people can become depressed. So that'll be a great learning segment for you. And then on February 3rd, we're going to have Sarah Krieger here, who is amazing. She is a nutritionist, and we are going to talk about all types of things, what diets are garbage and we shouldn't look for, and look to, what we should do, what we shouldn't do, the pros, the cons, everything to do with nutrition, and how we can eat happy, healthy, on-the-go foods that work for us. She is actually, I think right now in Austria, talking about nutrition. So you are going to have a top expert here, and that is on February 3rd. But I can't wait any longer. Can you? I know. Jamie, be quiet. Bring on the stacks. That's what we need to say. Bring on the stacks. So, Dr. Dae, bring on the stacks. Hi, welcome.
Thank you for having me.
Yeah. And you might notice Dr. Dae has her phone here. But she has it here because she is going to be checking any of the questions streaming in on Facebook Live. So if you have questions on Facebook Live, go ahead and message them in. She's going to be able to see them, and we will move forward from there. But hi. Yay, I'm so excited for today. We are going to get down and dirty.
Sure.
All right, I love it. So before we begin, I always love the viewers to know who their information is coming from. So can you tell us a little bit about who you are and what you do?
Sure.
Okay.
So you mentioned I was a licensed mental health counselor,
Yep.
board certified clinical sexologist, certified rehab counselor. I've been in practice for 20 years now. I'm also a professor at the University of South Florida. I teach human sexuality in the rehabilitation and mental health counseling program for the past 10 years. And I love that. My practice informs the work that I do at school and vice versa. And I help future therapists and clinicians to learn more about issues of human sexuality and how things are so taboo and there's such a stigma in our society, and how to help people who are struggling with anxiety or depression or what have you, or trauma, to be able to have these conversations without getting stuck.
Yeah. So we have the best of the best here then today, right? Yes, we do. So are you mom, wife too?
Absolutely.
Okay.
Absolutely.
Tell us how many kids. Tell us it all.
So I always say I have a couple. These are what I do here for my work or my amazing side gigs. My most proud achievement and my most exciting job is being mom to Scotty, who's 12, and Riley, who's 9, and being married to my amazing husband. We've been together for 27 years this year.
Yay! High five to that. That's an achievement in itself, right?
Sure is.
Yeah. All of you, marriage, for those of you married, is a full-time job, right? We get out of school and stuff. We're like, oh, we're going to get married, and we think of the dress, and it's so fun, and we're going to walk down the aisle, and then you're like, wow, this is a full-time job. There's compromise, there's sacrifice. So it is exciting, but it's a full-time job, and I think you really have to be a good team. So, okay, so for those of you that always are on the Dr. Jaime Show, after we do a brief intro of our guests, I select a quote. I try to narrow it down to one, and they tell us whether they agree or disagree with the quote and why. So the quote that we are going to ask Dr. Dae today is, sex is an emotion in motion. Do you agree or disagree?
Absolutely.
You agree?
Oh, absolutely.
Oh, okay. Tell us why.
Well, certainly sex has so many facets to it, and it's physical, it's emotional, it can be spiritual. It absolutely connects with us. I always like to say that our biggest sex organ is our brain, and next to our hearts. And so absolutely, that's a great quote. And I love Mae West. She's a sexy beast.
Yeah, I love it. I'm gonna write that. I'm actually gonna put an arrow and write sexy beast. I think that, yep, she's a sexy beast. So we'll write that. So
way ahead of her
time. Excellent. Okay, all right, very good. So we're gonna jump right into some of the questions. Got my handy dandy. And you guys have the interview questions too. So if you went to Dr. Jaime's Superwoman Workshops and Coaching on Facebook, you have access to all of my interview questions verbatim today. So before we begin, and I told them this, so we have to make a solemn promise that we're not going to get the, oh, well, it depends. Well, it's different for everybody. We're going to get down and dirty in some of these questions.
Well, I don't waffle often, so
Yeah.
let's see.
Okay, all right, okay, let's see. Okay, all right. So before we begin, let us know what sex therapy even is, and what a sex therapist is.
Okay, so a sex therapist, and I'll speak in the state of Florida,
Okay.
specifically. I know that you have viewers from all
Yep.
over, but the state's requirements are very different.
Okay.
Florida has very strict and stringent laws in terms of licensure for people who deal with mental health issues.
Okay.
So in order to be a sex therapist and to hang a shingle in the state of Florida, you have to be a licensed clinician in another area.
Okay.
So you have to be a licensed mental health counselor, you have to be a licensed clinical social worker, a marriage and family therapist, or a physician in some way, or a licensed psychologist. And then you have to do further training. So post-masters, you have to do further training to understand the nuances of human sexuality and trauma work and trauma-informed care. And then after that, you have to do more supervision hours. You have to do a practicum and all of that. And then you can become a sex therapist. And
Okay.
sex therapy, so it is another branch of mental health counseling, psychotherapy, psychology, and it could be for individuals, it could be for couples. It is about you giving yourself permission to be a full, whole sexual being, whether something may be stopping you emotionally, something from your past, body image issues. There's lots of reasons why people would come to sex therapy, from, hey, we just want to spice things up, things are getting a little slow in the bedroom, to I really feel stuck and I want to get to know myself and I want to, I really want to open up the way that I see myself and my sexuality.
Okay. So what is the primary difference? And maybe you just said it in there, but so people can clearly understand, what is the difference between sex therapy and marriage therapy? Like, how would I know where I'm going?
Well, a sex therapist has a higher level of credentials and expertise in the area of human sexuality.
Okay.
So marriage therapy is, they almost go hand in hand. I personally believe that in order to be an effective and efficient marriage therapist, you have to have training in sex therapy.
Okay.
I think they go hand in hand.
Okay.
However, not everybody pursues the extra credentialing that is required.
Okay.
So you can have someone who is educated in the area, or who feels comfortable in it, who may not be, who may not have gone through the training,
Okay.
or someone who's a marriage and family therapist, but shies away from issues of sexuality because it's not in their wheelhouse, or they like to refer out from that.
Okay.
But they really do go hand in hand. I think that one of the benefits of being a sex therapist and providing that service to people is that I'm askable. So you may not come into my office with guns blazing saying, I want to talk about this, I want to talk about that, about my sexuality, about my body. However, you know that I'm a sex positive and I'm educated in this area, and that there are no questions that are off limits. There is nothing that is shameful. There is nothing that we can't talk about. So I think that provides a comfort and a level of security for people that, well, you know what, I may not want to talk about this issue just yet, but I know that it's in my back pocket, that when I bring it out, we're going to be able to deal with it in the healthiest way possible.
Nice, excellent, very good. Yeah, because that is such a subject that we are so quiet about, and I can understand coming to someone like you. Okay, she specializes in that. I can open up to her about this. And I've had clients myself that, because I'm not a sex therapist, and they'll say, okay, can I tell you about this? Yeah, you can. But now, if it was serious issues, that is when I would refer to someone like you at that point. Absolutely. Okay, all right, very good. So, all right, moving on. Okay, we talked about marriage counseling. Now, okay, what if you have a partner? So what if someone has identified that they do need to see a sex therapist, but their partner is not willing to come in? Is there any tips that you can give them, or how do we handle this?
Okay. Well, it depends on what the issue is, but it depends.
Okay.
But it really does depend individually on the issue. I encourage someone to look at the reasons why they want to seek any sort of counseling or therapy. Make sure that it is an intrinsic reason that the drive is to improve themselves and to grow. And as a byproduct of that, life gets better and the choices around you get better. And so I hope that if someone is coming in, there's a buy-in from that person's partner, maybe not to go and see a therapist, but to want things to get better. I can absolutely work with an individual to look at what some of the things that have been going on, the maladaptive patterns of behavior or thought processes that get people stuck, and help them work through some of that, and then encourage them to find their voice and empower them to be able to work with their partner and hopefully draw them into some healthier interactions as well.
Okay, so it sounds like let's say someone wants their partner to come in and their partner is not going to come in, that it is okay that they come in alone. Like, can there still be progress if not both parties come in?
Oh, absolutely. I have lots of clients that are single and are seeking sex therapy or relationship counseling, even though they aren't currently in a relationship. I work with people all the time and doing what I call a relationship autopsy, which is...
Oh, I like this. This sounds interesting. Okay, tell us about it.
So a relationship autopsy, as far as I'm concerned, is looking at where you are today and looking at past relationships, what didn't work, but most of all looking at it from a strengths-based perspective as what did work. What would you bring into the next relationship? What were you proud of about yourself? And what happened with your partner that you would want to find again in another partner? And then looking at what are some things that you absolutely would not repeat? What are some of your non-negotiables for your next relationship? And really setting some goals and setting some things in stone for yourself, because so often we get into relationships that mimic the ones that we were just in, because you go with you wherever you go. And so you go with you wherever you go. So there's a lot of people who say, I can't believe I keep attracting the same person, or here I am again, you know, what's with all these people? And sometimes you have to look inside and say, what is it that I'm putting out there? What am I attracting to me? And what am I accepting in a relationship? You know, do I have expectations of my partner that I'm going to be treated with kindness and love and respect, that they'll be responsible, that they'll be loyal? You know, am I saying that this is a non-negotiable and this is what I'm going to give in a relationship, and this is what I plan and hope to receive in a relationship? So a lot of times I work with individuals on how to not repeat the patterns of their past. And so,
that's huge.
Yeah,
that's absolutely huge.
We all come into relationships with a big backpack full of stuff, and it's packed full of past relationships, past experiences, issues with our family of origin. You know, so we all have to figure out how much of it, when we're having an argument with our partner, how much of it is happening right now and how much of it is happening and coming out from the backpacks.
Oh, excellent. I love it. So for those of you that feel like you consistently are meeting the same person, having the same problems, it's time to do a self-check. And I always say, don't give up your control. Like, so often we put it off on other people, but just like, oh, it's him, or, oh, I keep attracting the wrong people. Stop. And even though it's hard to take responsibility, control, turn it inward. What could I be doing? Yeah, they're making wrong choices toward you, but what are you doing to attract that? What, and kind of sit back and say, oh, okay. And I call them red flags. So start noticing, well, maybe you're picking a guy or a girl that had been abusive to someone else in a past relationship, or someone that can't communicate very well. Maybe whatever it could be. You've got to note the patterns of people. What is the commonalities? List out the past 5 boyfriends or 5 girlfriends and list out their qualities. What do you notice across the board that's exactly the same? And kind of bring that to self-awareness. We can think it in our head, but until it's like on paper where we can kind of lay it out and see, that makes things more clear to us. We got so much going on in there anyway. So get your thoughts out so you can note patterns and habits and different things that you do. Get it out on paper. That's why I'm a proponent of journaling. And you can kind of look back and note patterns.
I love that.
So,
I do. I get it out of here, get it out of your head, out of your heart, onto the paper where it can breed more clarity for you. And I also encourage people to be the chooser. So often people's self-worth, their self-esteem has taken a hit or is lacking. And so they feel like they only deserve a certain type of person or a certain type of love. And when you start to do the work where you recognize fully and wholly that you are valuable, you are lovable, you are worthy of encouragement and affirmation, that's when you get to be the chooser. That's when you have expectations for other people, and then they'll meet them.
Do you have any tips for us? So let's say there's a person out there that says, maybe I can't afford a therapy. Maybe I don't have insurance. Maybe I just don't want to go, or I don't believe in it.
Sure.
But I don't feel worthy, and I am settling for a certain someone. Is there anything that they can do in their own home other than journaling, or is there anything else that they can do to kind of work through it?
Yes.
Okay.
Well, I'm a huge proponent of cognitive behavioral therapy.
Okay.
And so
Great.
that is,
Yeah.
So thought stopping is one of my favorite techniques for that. So if you're feeling that way, it's because you're thinking that way.
Mm-hmm.
So your thoughts lead to feelings, which lead to your behaviors and choices.
Okay.
And so if you find yourself going down what I call the vortex of critical self-talk or negative thinking, I encourage people to visualize a stop sign coming right up in their face. It is red, it says S-T-O-P, it is the universal symbol for stop. They're out in, they're out there when you're driving to just remind us and to fire up our brains and have our, our neural pathways remind us that we should be more positive and more loving towards ourselves. And so if you find yourself being critical or having that negative self-talk, to absolutely visualize the stop sign and just tell yourself stop, take a deep breath. Remind yourself that when you're doing that, you're not being present with yourself. You're not being loving with yourself. And so be present. I also like to find a touchstone, look down at your own 2 feet, standing on the ground in 2017. You are not your past relationships. You are not your family of origin. You are you, you're strong. And again, you're lovable just because you are. Look at your watch. Do something that makes you grounded and focused. Look at a tree. Find something that brings you back present, because what creates anxiety is fretting about what we can't control in the future, and what causes sadness or depression is being mired and stuck in some things that we can't control or change about the past. So if you're present, being right where you are is the healthiest place for you to be.
I love it. So for those of you out there kind of going through it right now, we want to make sure that you find a way to be present in the moment. So if you're off on a tangent somewhere, and this could be it doesn't even have to be, it could be completely distracted people. This could be completely separate of sex therapy. If you find yourself all over the place, to find something and bring it back. Find a tree. If you're on a walk and you don't even realize you're on a walk because you're thinking about tomorrow, stop and find a butterfly, or look at the flower, or look at something and bring it back to the moment. And then I also loved the stop. I'm a proponent, again, of visualizations. Visualizing, there's research behind it. We've done a whole segment on the Dr. Jaime Show specifically on visualizations. There's so much research that visualizations increase your chances of success in achieving goals. And so if you can achieve that stop sign, you can achieve seeing it. I see it, I'm looking at it, and you visualize it. I do believe you can cut those thoughts. And that's something that I tell clients as well.
Absolutely. So, and don't be critical of yourself about how critical of yourself that you're being. I find some people get stuck on that too. Like, oh, I can't believe how often I have to use that. Or I don't notice how often that I'm being critical to myself. For a lot of people, it's an autopilot response. And it's about breaking that habit, because usually when that is coming out, that's not your voice. That's a voice from the past. No one comes out of the womb, self-loathing. So those are learned behaviors, and sometimes we have to reparent ourselves or retrain ourselves to be more loving and kind, because we're like that to other people. We're just not like that to ourselves.
Exactly. Self-compassion. I mean, if you're 35 years old, it took 35 years to create that habit. Allow yourself, it's not going to be fixed tomorrow. Allow yourself that time to work through the new habit. There's a quote, whenever I talk about self-talk, I think about a woman named Lisa M. Hayes, and she says, be careful how you are talking to yourself, because you are listening. And I think there's so much, isn't that a good one? I love that one. So, all right, okay, so we're gonna go ahead and move on. Okay, so what is the most common problem that people come in with, in general, the most common, and then let's talk about kind of what women talk about and what men talk about. So first, what's the most common problem?
The most common problem is thinking that you're alone in some area, whether it's you don't feel good about yourself, or you don't know how to please a partner, or you're not sure exactly how things work. So confidence. And so we're talking about all this self-esteem stuff, and people are like, where's the sex? When is she going to start?
Yeah.
It's all about that.
Okay.
It's about communication with yourself and your partner. And so often there's a gap. Low libido is a tremendous issue for people nowadays in our culture. We are so driven, we are exhausted, we're driving ourselves into the ground, we're stressed out, and all of those things just suck the life out of your sex life. It lowers testosterone, it messes with our brain chemistry, and it keeps us from being excited, it keeps us from wanting sex. Again, people are stressed out, they're depressed, they're anxious, they're tired, and other things, will take precedence when you're feeling like that. And even though sex can be a great cure for many of those things, and engaging and getting your body moving and connecting with someone else are really positive ways to combat some of those issues, it's hard to take that step forward.
Yeah, especially when you're so exhausted.
Yeah.
So what are a couple tips for someone out there that might be like, that's it. At the end of the day, I'm so beat, I can't do anything. And I'm not in the mood. I don't know when I'm going to be in the mood.
Right.
Any tips for them?
So as long as so the second reason why people come in is because of discord in the relationship.
Okay.
So as long as that's not the issue, if it really is tired and stressed and overworked and the kids and all of those things, I encourage people will say it's not very sexy, but because it's not spontaneous, but to schedule sex.
Okay.
And the reason why I encourage people to do that is because I ask, when is the last time you walked in the door, saw your partner from across the room, walked over to them, started passionately kissing, and then you're falling on the floor and making spontaneous love to each other? Like,
there's one person out there that's been dating someone for 4 days, and it's you, but everyone else.
Right. So since that doesn't happen, what happens is that, like I said, real life will suck the life out of your sex life. So if you're making it a priority, everything else it takes precedence. And then we're exhausted by the end of the day if it has to be like, it has to be in the evening with rose petals and candles, and okay, let's get rid of all that stuff, because if that's what you love, then make time for it.
Yeah.
But note that it doesn't always have to be movie sex.
Yes.
Or the way that the movies portray it, like we're supposed to, like, what if I don't like candles? What if I think rose petals are weird? Like, that's not romance. It's something that's been sold to us. And so,
I like that.
Yeah. And so find out what it means for you, and then put doing it on your to-do list.
Okay.
Absolutely. I
love that.
We find ourselves falling away. We find ourselves falling away from sex with our partners. So as long as there's not that discord, I encourage people to get it on the calendar. And the thing that happens is sex begets sex. And so if you're doing it, you are really helping your hormones get jump started, and it helps us to be able to be more connected. Our oxytocin and our dopamine and our serotonin are flowing in ways that make us feel more connected and exciting and more full of life.
Okay.
And so
for the day ahead.
Yeah, absolutely. Nice. And so if we're scheduling it and if we're connecting with one another, I liken it to, girl talk. So I liken it to the fact where we're all very, very busy, and you have this great best friend or a guy that that you get together with, the fellas, or doing a girls' night out or something like that, where you try to schedule it, and somebody's kids get sick, or something came up for work, or and you're going back and forth with texts or emails, and you're like, I don't even want to go anymore. It's like, it's one of those things where it just becomes a thing to schedule it, but wait a second, this is my best friend, and then when you finally get together for that lunch, you sit there and you laugh and you just feel amazing, and you get in the car and you're about to leave, and you're like, gosh, why don't we do that more often? The same thing with sex. It feels like, oh my gosh, I gotta shave my legs, this has to be right,
I need the rose petals,
the room needs to be perfect, it needs to be 10 p.m. on the dot, so we set up all of these parameters in our heads in order to have are conditions for perfect sex, where it's not going to be perfect. So sex begets sex. Sometimes you just have to jump in and do it and have a great time and say, ooh, we should do that more often.
Nice. I love that. That's excellent. And what I like is, and again, separate of the sex topic, is I talk to people about that all the time when they set their goals. Like, you want to go back for your MBA, but you have 3 kids, you're a single mom, you're working a full-time job. Don't compare yourself to that person coming right out of a bachelor's program. Mom's paid all their loans, they have no kids, and they can jump right in and do it in 2 years and be done. It might take you longer. That's okay. Don't compare yourself to other people or what you think it should be. Kind of the media sold us on it.
Absolutely.
So being realistic for your lifestyle and what fits you and your family. And I would say probably having sex with your spouse, even if it's imperfect, is better than not having sex.
And it's always going to be imperfect. I think that's what we need to accept as well, is that our bodies make weird noises. We fall out of position. Sometimes we're just not working correctly. We're not in the mood. Something happens. You know, it's the kids wake up. So it's, if we look at it and expect for it to be imperfect and just
which can make it fun.
Exactly.
Right?
Exactly. You might find out something that you didn't know if you're not doing the same. If you're not doing the same exact position every single time with the one candle lit next to the
at
bed
10 o'clock
at 10 p.m. You may find a little something in the pantry that you didn't realize. Right?
I love that. I love that. So your challenge out there is to kind of like be imperfect. Be imperfect in the bedroom for the next few days and see if like things are even better. Okay, all right. Oh, okay, so now men and women. So let's divide. So we've got the common issues which could be not feeling comfortable with yourself, kind of low libido, and then the disconnect, right? Which is a whole nother area we could probably spend an hour on. So if we have time at the end, we'll just make do with the disconnect issues. But what specifically for men do they come in with, and what specifically for women?
Well, it's very interesting because they're very similar in that we have these societal perceptions and expectations of what sex should be. And so, especially in our pornified universe that we live in now.
I love that. We live in a pornified universe.
We do. And so people's expectations may be one thing. Their abilities or, you know, their likes or dislikes may be something different. So for women, the societal construct, if you will, the societal construct.
These are big words. We need words under like.
So what happens is that our society makes women feel terrible about sex. You know, we are taught that it's dirty and bad and wrong. We are taught that good girls don't do that, and so. I like it. The analogy that I use with my students and with most of my clients is that, so, you know, you've been getting these messages throughout your lifespan as a woman. So it's akin to someone from birth says, do not eat peanut butter and jelly sandwiches. You will die. They're poisonous. They're going to hurt you.
My son is going to die if he hears this. He loves peanut butter.
But you're being told. You're being taught. There's TV about it. They talk about it at school, and as you get older, the developmental messages about the peanut butter and jelly start to shift and change. Not only will you get sick, your reputation will be ruined, people will judge you, you're going to ruin your life if you eat peanut butter and jelly sandwiches. And then you grow up, on the happiest day of your life, you put on a beautiful white dress or you put on a snazzy tuxedo, you meet the person of your dreams at the top of the aisle in front of God and your friends and everybody else, and they say, congratulations. Here's your peanut butter and jelly sandwich. And you're like, what?
I don't want that.
And you're like, but through the years, you're like, I might want to try some peanut butter, but I'm being shamed. I'm being shamed for it. I'm being taught that it's wrong and not to know anything about peanut butter, that it wouldn't be proper for me to know much about the peanut butter and jelly sandwich. But then the script about that changes once we get married, then it's okay. And then the peanut butter and jelly sandwich becomes the most beautiful and wonderful thing that two people who love each other can share. Well, guess what? You can't undo the years and years and years of programming that you've been telling me that it's bad, it's wrong, it's going to hurt me, it's going to
ruin my reputation as a woman.
Absolutely. And then so, you know, I'm going to hell. Like there's a lot of things that are placed there. And so to be able to alleviate some of that, we have to find out whether that's my voice that truly believes that, or was that the media? Were those, bullies in high school? Was that my family of origin? Where are these messages? What's the branding behind this shame, this embarrassment, or this guilt surrounding sex? And for women, low libido or inability to have an orgasm, a lot of it for many women has to do with that internalized shame about sex. Even though, again, I've done all the right things, here I quote unquote, according to society, I'm now married, I want to be able to be free and all that, but I still have that little bit in my head that says, and so I'm doing that and helping people, as I said before, give themselves permission to explore their sexuality in a way that feels good to them versus what they were told they should do instead.
Yeah.
So that's primarily for women. And for men, the societal stuff has to do with masculinity, and the sexual scripts, like the man always has to be in charge and is a raging, sexaholic, and that his penis has to be huge, and all of these different things. Can I say that on here?
Yeah.
Okay.
If Big Chat shuts down, then we know you weren't allowed to say it. But we're still up and live, so we're good.
Sorry.
No.
Because there's nothing wrong with that.
Yes.
Because your penis and your vulva and your vagina, they're all parts of your body. We all have them.
Yep.
And so the fact that we can't utter those words is part of our problem. We're perpetuating the shame, we're hiding it, and by not providing quality sexuality education to our children, it's doing a lot of damage to people's future sex lives. And then they need somebody like me to teach them what people in different countries have known since kindergarten. So we just don't do a really good job of that here.
Okay. All right. Excellent. I love it. I love it. I love all the juicy info that we're getting. Feel free to message any questions in if you are on Facebook Live. So if anything comes in, let us know. Okay. All right. So, and I want to check the time because I want to get through all these questions. All right. So, how do you, and this is a great question for people out there. I think, how do we know when we need to come to a sex therapist versus something's going on, I need to see an MD, a medical doctor? How would someone out there know when to go to you and when to go to them?
Right. Well, one of the greatest referral sources that I have are OBGYN offices and medical doctors. They're the ones who usually rule out any sort of physiological problems, whether it is erectile, whether it is sexual pain. It really depends on the person and what they need. I'm usually one of the last stops because people don't feel comfortable talking about this. So they have already gone to the doctors and tried to take the pills or use the creams and all of these things. And their doctor is saying to them, you need to talk about this. There's more to this. It's about your relationship. It is about your body image. It is about how you feel about yourself, or the things that you're saying in your own mind. Again, the critical self-talk, or that there may be a traumatic experience that needs to be healed. And so there, 1 in 6 boys and 1 in 4 girls have some sort of sexual trauma by the time they're 18 years old.
Wow.
And so this is something that any licensed clinician who does mental health work really needs to know about these things. That's why it's a required course in the master's program at USF and many across the country. So the doctors will recommend someone like me because people feel more comfortable, because that's how we're taught, that talking about it is not easy, but taking a pill is. And so, and there's lots of marketing and lots of things to show you that, quote unquote, that this is what you need. So I think I've had people who have called me who said, my doctor gave me your name 5 years ago, and I'm still struggling, and I've tried other things.
Wow, that took courage.
Absolutely, absolutely. And I know by the time someone comes to me that they may have exhausted, resources. And people don't necessarily just come to me for sex therapy, because I am a general practitioner as a licensed mental health counselor. But, when people come to me at any point, I recognize the courage and what that takes to be able to take that step forward, to love yourself enough to want things to be better, and to not have the stigma of mental health or sexuality, and to just say, I deserve it. Again, I deserve it.
I love it. And I'm just hearing you talk, I'm thinking that's like, I don't know if I want to use the word taboo, but sex and mental health. Those like two issues we don't talk about, we can be shameful of, embarrassed of. So it is amazing. I mean, even when new clients call me, there are some on the other end of the line and I can hear their voice almost like shaking. And I'm like, oh, thanks so much for reaching out. And I end it with, we're gonna get through this, and this is gonna be okay. And you hear them ease up a little bit because they need to know, like, are you gonna shame me? Are you gonna talk down to me? Should I even be reaching out to you? Can you even deal with this? They have so many questions running through their mind. So excellent. Okay, very good. All right. So let's continue to move on.
I'm sorry. I want to make sure I answer your question in that.
Yeah.
And even if you're not referred by a medical doctor, I will evaluate that and help you to understand, okay, this seems like there may be some physiological barriers happening here, or there may be some other illness or issue that is causing this. Diabetes, heart disease, cancer, these are the blood pressure issues, all affect sexuality. And so we want to make sure that we're ruling out and making sure that everybody is as physically healthy as they can be before I start making my diagnoses and making recommendations.
But it's amazing too, just hearing it, like, there's, right, okay, so like we always think like biology in our bodies, but it's amazing how much power is in our minds. That you can go to the doctor and you can take all these medications and all these pills, and still the issue isn't resolved because of the power of what the brain is doing. It's amazing. Even with depression, especially with like situational depression, you can go and take medication, and by all means, if it's helping, awesome. But if you are not pulling yourself out of the situation that is bringing you to the bottom of the bottom, medication can't fix that. Medication isn't going to move you or help you leave it's amazing that you have to have the mind and the body working together. So, okay, all right. So I want to skip this next one because I want to get to this next one because I want to make sure that we have enough time. All right, so how many times a week should we be having sex with our spouse or partner? And you cannot say it depends or you have to walk off stage.
Okay, so I will
answer
this question. So here's what I'm going to say about that.
Okay. Can we get a number?
So we talked about compromise before.
Okay.
I don't love the word compromise because someone always feels like they're losing something.
I
love collaborate.
Okay.
So here's the thing. So two people have different sex drives, and what I call it, and what we call it in the biz, is a desire discrepancy. So what that means is she wants to do it this much, the other person wants to do it that much. He wants to do this much, the other person wants to do it that much. Right? So there's a desire discrepancy. You will never get this person all the way over here to this person. And if you have this person who has lower libido, you can't get them all. It's like if you go and buy a car, you budget for somebody wants to pay this much, somebody else, you cannot get them all the way, but you can collaborate and work together and figure out what works for the two of you. So you have to do that in your relationship and say, what's realistic? And somebody may say, 4 times a day. Like, that's not realistic for me.
That's that person that's been dating for 4 days.
So how about X times a week, and then work together to get there? What I would say is, if you've gone 2 weeks without being intimate with your partner, and I don't mean just sexual intercourse, if you haven't passionately kissed, if you haven't touched each other, if you haven't laid together and talked, and if you haven't done those things, because that intimacy and that that outer course, if you will, it's not just about intercourse. Again, a myth that what sex is penis and vagina sex and that's it. Well, not everybody has those parts when they're making love to one another. That's very heteronormative. Everybody has different partners. We like different things. So to just think that sex goes one way, the right way that we've been taught is a myth. So we have to alleviate that. So if you're being intimate and passionate with your partner, then that is important. That's just as important as sex. As sexual intercourse would be. But if you've gone 2 weeks without feeling tingly and excited about your partner and touching each other and being intimate physically, for whatever that looks like for you, for your ability, for your desires, then I want you to look at that.
Okay.
What's going on that we've either become disconnected, or something's going on with me, I'm stressed out, I'm feeling sad, I'm not happy with my body, are we angry at each other, and are we trying to communicate our needs in different ways that, if we haven't made up from a fight, somebody's trying to make up by coming towards, it repels the other one from them.
Yeah.
So, but I do have a standard that if you've gone 2 weeks without feeling physically intimate and connected with your partner, look at that, talk to each other about that. And as long as there's no abuse, serious discord where you cannot bring yourself to do that, you never want to have unwanted sex.
Okay.
But if you realize it's just you've kind of fallen away and gotten out of sync with one another, make a date.
Okay. So I'm going to give you a number because I just heard it from her. Said I promised you I would give you a number. So it sounds to me, you can correct me if I'm way wrong, that the number is 1 every 2 weeks. Can we have more if it's based on?
Absolutely.
Yes. But for at least, and she said absolutely. So, and I know the guys out there are like watching. They're like, I was hoping she was gonna say 6 times a day. And so we're getting
Or
one.
some women.
Or some women. Yeah, women are like 8 times a day. 8 times. But anyway, so that's more than just because you should have sex once every 2 weeks at a minimum. It's more because there could be something else going on.
Right.
You haven't made up from a fight. You're not feeling good. Maybe you are fatigued. Maybe something else is going on. So it's a good overall life check when you've gone 2 weeks.
Absolutely. And people want a number. It's like, well, if you're having ineffective sex or unsatisfying sex 3 times a week, that's not great.
No.
That's not, so forcing yourself to keep a number alive builds resentment, it builds frustration, it creates a lackluster sex life. So, although I want you to schedule it, I want it to be an anticipated event.
Okay.
You can sexy text each other a little bit beforehand, say I'm really looking forward to this evening or tomorrow morning or whatever it might be, and have it be something that's anticipated. It also takes the heat off a little bit that if you haven't had sex in a while, you get into what I call the awkward zone.
Okay.
Like, are you going to ask me? Am I going to ask you? We both kind of know it's been a little while. And so then we tiptoe around it, and you've fallen asleep on the couch again, and so it keeps us talking about it. And saying, hey, how you feeling about Wednesday?
Yep.
And let me check my calendar. Looks great. So
free as can be.
Yeah. So then that way, it also takes the heat off that you're not. If you are exhausted or something's happening leading up to it, you're like, I hope she doesn't want it tonight, or I hope he doesn't want it. So then you don't have all of those weird feelings about it, and you can just talk about it. Everybody is doing it mostly, and no one's talking about it.
Okay.
And so opening up the lines of communication, we talked about all the self-esteem stuff and mental health stuff on the front end, that is sex therapy.
Okay.
Being able to communicate your wants, your desires, your needs, and having the confidence and knowing that you deserve to ask to get your needs met. That's one of the most important things that I can help people understand.
And not honing in on perfection would be something I'd even add to that too, right? Because if you're in that whole like it's got to be at 10 o'clock with the rose petals, but you're probably also like, do I look good? And that is got to be, especially for, maybe men, you can chime in there, but definitely I know from seeing women, for sure, it's a huge thing. It's a huge, am I pretty enough? Am I skinny enough? Do I look good in this angle? I mean, I have people that you can't even take a photo. They're like, I want the other side. Duck face, and I'm like, okay, I'm like, just take the photo. But yeah, I mean, we're so especially with the social media and stuff, we are consistently I don't want to say perfecting ourselves consistently. You can Photoshop the pictures, you can enhance the screen, you can change the color, the lighting.
I don't know how to do any of that.
I don't either.
I wish I was a little bit more technologically savvy to enjoy such things. But no, and there is research that shows us that the more time that we spend on social media, yes, it connects us, but the more time we spend on social media, the more depressed that we are.
Wow.
Because what we're doing is we're comparing our real life, our bloopers,
Yes.
to everybody else's highlight reel.
Yep.
Like everybody's giving the best of themselves.
Yep.
I mean, it's who wants to. One of my favorite things that came across a blog that I saw, it was called "Pretty Girls Making Ugly Faces," and it's like it was a bunch of beautiful women,
Yep.
and every woman is beautiful, and it was just girls and women just sending their like ugliest faces and then right next to like this perfect, like exactly like Photoshop,
yeah,
contoured,
you gotta have
everything.
Yeah.
Yeah. And so we are all imperfect, we're fallible, we're gonna make mistakes, and it really is about just not having everything seem like it needs to be perfect. Be, perfect with that person who makes you smile. That sounded like a really cheesy way to wrap up that sentence. But,
no, I love it.
But it really is. It's instead of trying to appear as if, you work on the inside stuff. Work on the inside stuff about how you're feeling about you, and are you paying enough attention, and what's going on with your kids, and what's going on with your relationship, and because things do fall away, and it's very difficult to pinpoint things if we don't know how to communicate about them, and especially sex is the first thing to go. It really is. It's the first thing to go, and then that just breeds that discontent. I like to say that when it comes to around the house, if you are intimately connected, if you're having regular sex and physical and emotional intimacy, socks on the floor are just socks on the floor.
Yeah.
You walk by, you pick them up, you throw them in the hamper, you whistle and you go about your day. That's it. If you are disconnected emotionally, if you're disconnected physically, those socks on the floor, like they're on fire, they're a sign of disrespect, they just become something that they're not. They're like, they're looking at you and they're
like, it's a sock.
Exactly.
You're like, no, it's so much more than that.
That becomes something we need to talk about and have an argument about. And so if you find yourself kind of in that space where you're agitated or everything they do is bothering you, or you're not getting your needs met, talk about it, because that disconnect will grow and grow, because then it becomes a match to see who's more right.
Yep.
So you want to be right or do you want to be happy?
Yeah.
You have to communicate.
Oh, I love that. Write that down. Do you want to be right or do you want to be happy? And you talk about the sock on the floor thing, and I've kind of had frustrations in my life like that, where let's say like all day it's just been like such a rough day, and I just feel like I'm not getting a break, and but I'm holding it, I'm gonna get through. I just gotta get through today, and then I like turn the corner and I stub my toe on the wall. That's it. I'm done. I have a hysterical breakdown. Like I'm in a crisis. I mean, I'm just like, everything's terrible. And it was like, I just stubbed my toe.
Yes.
It's done.
Yes, and when we get like that, we're more likely to mess everything up. When we're having an anxiety response, when we are upset with ourselves and upset with the world and all of those things, we're more likely to make more mistakes, which then we spiral down into, see, I can't get it right, and oh, that person is, it's their fault, and all of that. So we can keep ourselves calm and recognize it's going to be okay and talk about what's going on and monitor our self-talk about things, it can be a lot better. There's two people on the road sitting in the same traffic. Somebody is white knuckle, clenching their fists, beeping the horn, screaming about being late to work. The other person is in the same exact car, sitting right next to them in the same exact traffic, and they said, oh, nothing I can do about it. And they roll down the window, they put on a song that they like, and there's the same thing is happening to that person. It's how they're reacting to it and how they're letting that inside of them. That's what makes the difference. So the same thing goes with your relationship stuff. What are you telling yourself about what's happening? Is that reality? Is that something that you could get confirmation or have a conversation about? Make time to talk to each other. Shut off all of the blinky-do devices and connect. Those are called soft addictions. When we're obsessively on Amazon or surfing the web or on social media, like that's a way that we use those things to stay disconnected. We self-medicate our pain with those things. It may not be alcohol, it may not be drugs, it may not be gambling or sex, but doing that keeps you just as disconnected from your real life as some of those other addictive things do. And so it's really important that when you're getting disconnected, emotionally and physically, to say, stop. We need to put everything down and make eye contact and sit and look at each other and talk to each other about what's the state of the union right now.
Well, and too, it's not just like the phone, the soft addiction you call it, right? I love that. It's not just a disconnect where it is, but it's even more. It's bringing you into a not reality, I guess would be the word, right? Because you're disconnecting and then you're going into
an alternate universe.
You are. You said the highlight reel.
Yeah.
So one thing that I had to do, just so everyone knows out there, for like when I did PR and when I do, you know, the TV shows I do, I have to provide them with what is called a demo reel. And it is the highlights of everything awesome I've ever done, 3-second clips here and 2-second clips here of everything. And it puts it together. They're like, wow, this girl's on fire. But they don't know what I did behind the scenes, and I could have messed up on that show, but they're only seeing that 3-second clip, and that's what we do when we're disconnecting and going into this other universe. We're seeing everybody's demo reel of their perfect life. So, okay, all right, let's see how we're doing on time. Okay, so we have 6 minutes, and I have to skip questions because I have to get to the question we've all truly been waiting for. I'm going to read it verbatim. What are the weirdest things you've seen as a sex therapist? Yes, we want details, and lots of them.
So this question, I honestly don't know how to answer, because what someone may think is weird, other people don't think is weird.
Okay.
But I don't think that anything is. I've done it all. You know, there are some things. So let's talk about something that's interesting that I think people need to know about that would answer your question. That you were talking before about how our minds are so powerful.
Yes.
And so our bodies can do certain things, and in females, it's when there's an anxiety response. What can happen is a condition called vaginismus. And what vaginismus is?
That's your spelling word of the day. You'll be tested at the end of the show.
So vaginismus is the involuntary locking of the vaginal muscles. So if you're having unsatisfying sex or unwanted sex, or if there's been some pain and you haven't really talked about it with your partner, your brain, you can say, come on, let's do it, and you can go bring your body into that situation, but your vagina will say, no thank you. It will absolutely, it will not let anything penetrate if there has been, again, if there's been any kind of sexual pain, maybe a traumatic experience, or if it's just, if it's not good sex and you keep trying to have the same sex, that your body will say, no thanks, I'm not going to do that. And so a lot of people, that anxiety response, your body is telling you something that you're not listening to your brain.
For someone that may actually be facing this or knows someone that's facing
Absolutely, it's very common.
Yeah. Okay. What does that person do? Do they come see a sex therapist or do they see a medical doctor?
So most often they'll go to their OBGYN first, because they're not sure why this is happening, and they don't understand. They believe it's a physical problem. And most often they'll be referred back to someone like me. Now they may do physical therapy as well as the psychotherapy in order to do anxiety reduction strategies, relaxation techniques, as well as really confronting some of the myths or the messages or the branding about sexuality, because that could also, vaginismus can also occur from, I don't think I should be doing this. And so the cognitive dissonance between thinking to myself that I shouldn't be doing this, or it's not good for me, or I shouldn't be with this partner, and then going forward with it, and you saying one thing in your mind and doing something else with your body will make the decision for you. And so physical therapy to help relax the musculature, as well as psychotherapy to help with anxiety response, because it can be a hair trigger at that point. It could be as soon as something is introduced, then the muscles will lock up. So it's what are called that doesn't matter, but baby steps. Successive approximations is what the term is called, of taking baby steps towards getting to a more relaxed state, both emotionally and physically. So that's something. A lot of people we'll talk about this, a lot of people have issues with compulsive pornography watching. So that is something that I see a lot, and the upping the ante is something I've seen a lot more, where because just like a lot of other addictive things and substances, a tolerance is built up. So something that
interesting.
may excite you or titillate you, 1 week, if you watch it enough, it becomes kind of vanilla, and you move to the next thing and the next thing and the next thing.
Yeah.
And so what I've seen a lot more of is the next thing and then the next thing becomes the webcams and Craigslist and meeting people and really going outside
More of a dangerous level.
Yes, going outside of the virtual world and going into the real physical realm. So there's a lot of people who struggle with soliciting prostitutes and pornography, compulsive pornography issues. I don't call it addiction. A lot of people say, sex addiction or pornography addiction. It is an obsessive thought and a compulsive behavior that is driving you towards doing that. So it's the same type of, I do the same type of work with people who have those issues as someone who has obsessive compulsive disorder.
Okay.
Because it's a not being able to stop.
Okay.
It's an anxiety issue.
Okay, so now we got the details on that. I love it. Okay, so we are coming to a close, and I want you to share with us one thing that you would want to leave us with or you want us to know. Doesn't have to be long, just like a sentence or two. What do you want to leave us with? I like to put these people on the spot.
Yeah. That you deserve a full, whole, happy, healthy sex life, whether it's with yourself or with a partner or both.
I love that. I love that. Thank you so much for coming on the show today. I'm so excited she was here. Listen, if you have any questions, if you want to reach out to Dr. Dae, Dr. Dae, correct me if I'm wrong, drdae.com, right? Okay, they can email you or call you if they go to that number, kind of check their email. Okay, excellent. So if you have any questions, go to drdae.com and she can answer any questions. For happy and healthy living tips, you can go to drjaimek.com. And also, don't forget, if you want to be a part of the Alliance program, you can email me at dr@drjaimek.com. And next week, Angela Ardolito, who founded Tampa Bay Parenting Magazine, is going to be here, and she's going to talk about how she launched Canacure, which cultivates the purest medical cannabis. And we're going to find out exactly what she's doing. Happy Friday, have an amazing weekend, and have sex this weekend. Thank you.
Put it on your to-do list.
Put it on your to-do list. All right, bye.
Bye.